Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, and I can't believe that here we are in July and we're already halfway through the year for 2023. So I thought, it'd be fun, because there's been so many films that have come out already this year. It's been crazy just how many films have come out, great films that have come out this year. And I thought it'd be fun to make a top 10 list of my personal favorites I've seen so far, theatrical releases, and kind of compare that when I do get to the end of the year and see, are any of those films going to be bumped out of the top 10? It'd be interesting to see exactly how, does the list change that much between now and December, because again, we do have some pretty big films still coming this year, especially one coming out this week. It's a little independent title with this unknown actor named Tom Cruise. I think it's Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning or something like that. So yeah, who knows? You know how I am. I'm on cruise control basically. So who knows? Could Tom Cruise take the top spot again this year, like he did last year with Top Gun Maverick? But you know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at the films from January to June and see exactly what I have in my top 10 so far for 2023. Now, I had to make a list here because, when you get old like me, you just can't, your memory is not as good as it used to be. So I had to write everything down on the list just so I don't forget anything. Now, Renfield. I put Renfield at number 10. Nicolas Cage as Dracula, Nicholas Hoult as Renfield, and Awkwafina plays the cop. His partner basically in the film, and buddy. It's like a buddy cop team up thing between herself and Renfield. And I really didn't know what to. Obviously, yes, from the trailer, you're gonna get Nicolas Cage over the top as Dracula, which is a great thing. Never wrong, never a bad thing. But I was not expecting to see as much gore and just action as much as what we got in the film. And it's a shame to see the film, just not live up to box office expectations, especially with with Nicolas Cage being, Dracula in the film. And it's kind of disappointing. Again, one that I didn't see in the theater, but I did catch on Peacock when it, went streaming on there. And I'll tell you, I was pleasantly surprised, and it was a no-brainer for me to put this in my top 10. I really enjoyed this one a lot. And I said, there is just so much gore. There are body parts just flying all over the place in this film. And like I said, Nicolas Cage did not disappoint at all as Dracula. So Renfield as number 10. Number 9, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, as far as the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse film goes, I enjoyed the film, but I wasn't blown away like everybody else was. I don't know if it was just so much the animation style, something that I was not really too used to, or maybe because I'm just a real big Peter Parker fan. But I'll tell you what, this one did win me over. I think this, overall, was a better film than Into the Spider-Verse. And I'm not going to spoil anything about how this film ends or anything like that, because again, it's one that I think people should definitely check out. But I was really surprised how they really upped their game with this one. And I think because I knew what to expect now from this style of animation, I was able to go in with a more clearer head and really enjoyed this film a lot more. So yeah, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in at number 9. I know a lot of people would probably have this higher, but for me, it's number 9. Number 8, Pope's Exorcist. This was one that I saw in the theater, and holy crap, did I enjoy this. Russell Crowe, as, performing exorcisms. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I think that it really should have got a lot more love at the box office than what it did. I really enjoyed this one. One that I really wish would be on 4K, and one that I know is out on Blu-ray now, and I still have to pick it up, but I really enjoyed this one. I think Russell Crowe did a great job in this film. And like I said, it's loosely based, obviously, on a actual, person. But, they obviously going to take some liberties with this one. But I really enjoyed this one a lot. Will we get a sequel? Fingers crossed. I would really like to see a sequel, but as far as box office numbers go, I don't know if that's a possibility. But I would definitely like to see Russell Crowe back in this role again for a sequel to this film. Number 7, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now, this is one I did not do a review for, so I'll just talk a little bit about it right now without spoiling anything. There are some things that I had some issue with the film. I think being in 2023, I think the CGI could have been a little bit more crisp, especially coming from Disney. The de-aging didn't really bother me too much, didn't take me out of the film. Most of the de-aging is done at the beginning of the film, those scenes, those shots that we see with a younger Indiana Jones. But those, and to me, those felt like it. This film felt like an Indiana Jones film. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I don't think it's as terrible a film as what people say it is. I think it's watchable. I don't think it's the greatest Indiana Jones film. I don't think you can beat the original three, the first three, the trilogy. But I think this one is definitely better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It feels more like an Indiana Jones film. It has more of that adventure that I want to see from Indiana Jones. And, you know, there are things, like I said, there are like minor things that here or there that kind of just bother me a little bit about the film, but not enough to, I think the majority of greatness for this film just outweighs the little minor things that I had issue with. Enough for me to get it into that, you know, into a top spot at number 7 in the top 10 so far for this year. I really enjoyed it that much. It definitely felt more back to traditional Indiana Jones style. Number 6, surprisingly, Scream 6. Here's another one. Didn't see it in theater, but caught it once it went streaming, and wow, I was not prepared for the brutality, basically. I mean, yes, it's not a super, super gory film. It's not the goriest film that we're ever going to see. But as far as the Scream franchise goes, this is definitely up there as one of the bloodier entries in this franchise. I loved it. I really, really did. Jenna Ortega, I think she's, again, seeing her, you know, as Wednesday in the Wednesday series, this girl can do horror. Gothic, horror, whatever you want to call it, she can do this style of film or show. And I really enjoyed just, you know, her performance on screen. Scream 5, didn't really give her too much to do, but Scream 6, she got a lot more things to do. And I really enjoyed this one a lot. It was one that twists here and there where I was really like left guessing until the very end who the killer was, who Ghostface was in this one. So Scream 6, definitely one of the top entries for the Scream franchise, in my opinion. Number 5, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Another one that I saw in theater, and it looked fantastic. I mean, Illumination did an incredible job. They stepped it up, even from just how great the Minion films look and the Despicable Me. They upped their game with the Super Mario film, hands down. This looked absolutely gorgeous. The voice acting, fantastic. Jack Black stole this as Bowser. He absolutely stole this film as Bowser. And rightfully so. This film, over $1 billion at the box office. And, you know, gotta applaud Nintendo, because they crank out winners. They do. And, you know, now that they're dipping their toes into movies and maybe a potential Zelda film down the line, who knows? But if any indication, what we got with the Super Mario Brothers movie, I think Nintendo's going in the right direction for maybe getting some of their properties onto the big screen, because this was a fantastic film, and believe me, there will be a sequel. You don't make over $1 billion and you don't get a sequel. This one will absolutely get a sequel. So, and Chris Pratt as Super Mario, I mean, as Mario himself, he was great. I really, people who had problems with it, you know, when they first announced them, yeah, I think a lot of that went away once they actually saw the film, because it's a lot of fun for the whole family. It really, really is. Number 4. Now, this is going to surprise some people, because I bet you some people who watch my channel will probably figure this would be number 1, but it's not. It's number 4, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This was, to me, it was still a really good entry into the Guardians of the Galaxy. It was. And I did enjoy this film a lot. So, you know, seeing the end of, you know, this cast of actors, you know, portraying these roles, it's a little heartbreaking. And this film was still good, and that's why it was really hard. Once I start getting to that, you know, the top 3 or 4 spots on this list, it's a little more difficult, because I really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. To me, one of the big sells for the Guardians films is the music. The music didn't really hit me as much. It's still really good, but did not hit me as much as it did with the first 2 volumes. But I think this one really is a solid solid film, and you can't go wrong. Even at number 4, it's definitely not a bad spot to be at on the list. Number 3, Evil Dead Rise. Holy crap. Thank goodness this went theatrical and did not just stay streaming, because this thing scared up a whole heck of a lot of money at the box office. For this franchise, it did really, really good. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I've talked about this film on the channel, so I'm not going to stick with it too much, talk about any more about it, but so much gore, so much blood. The acting, I thought the acting from the mom, Alyssa Sutherland, she was great. Absolutely. One of the best performances I've ever seen in any horror film. I will absolutely put that. She was great as the Deadite mom. Wow. That's all I can say. She was cast perfectly for that role. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. The costume design, the makeup design on her, just breathtaking. Blew me away. Creepy as anything, and I loved it. Now, the top 2 spots. Here's one that I just saw. I did not see it in theaters, but I just watched it the other day. John Wick, Chapter 4. This, without spoiling anything for anybody who hasn't seen it, I thought this ended the only way that it possibly could end for this franchise. I thought that the action, I've heard some people say that's a little bit over the top, unbelievable, but what more can you really do after, going to your fourth chapter for this franchise? What more can you really do? There's not a lot you can do that hasn't been done. And the stunts, the action, the gunfights, the sword fights, everything. It's just, it keeps you, this is almost 3 hours long, this film, and it didn't feel like it at all. This just flew right by those 3 hours. I thought it was fan-freaking-tastic and a great send-off to this franchise. Hands down, my number 2 so far. Now, number 1, here's a surprise. Transformers Rise of the Beast. I've seen it twice in theaters. 4K is on pre-order already. I've talked about it on the channel. This felt like a G1 episode of Transformers brought to the big screen. Loved it. I think that this is right up there with Bumblebee. If you haven't seen the other the Bay Transformers, don't worry about it. You just got to see Bumblebee, because this is basically a direct sequel to Bumblebee. And wow, I loved it. There are scenes in this film that just had me smiling so big. I clapped in certain scenes of this film. I felt like a kid in the 80s again, watching this on screen. Hearing Optimus's voice just give me chills every single time I hear it on the big screen. And like I said, I saw it twice in theaters. I loved it that much. And the end credit scene, especially one in particular, there's not a lot I can say about it. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it. I just can't wait to see this again at home. Like I said, I already have the pre-order set for the 4K. But yeah, Transformers Rise of the Beast, surprise, surprise, is my number 1 film for 2023 so far. Like I said, we still have a long way to go yet for the year. So will any of these films get bumped off? Most likely. I think there's a good chance that we're going to probably lose a couple of these films off of the list. But for now, halfway through the year, these are solid film. And there are some that it was really, really hard that I had to leave off. Like, Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantumania. I enjoyed that film. I enjoyed Shazam, Fury of the Gods. I had to leave it off the list. Dungeons and Dragons, had to leave it off the list. Because there's just been so many films. 2023 has been a great year for movies. It really has. And yeah, there's a lot more in store yet to come. So, like, subscribe, and comment if you get the chance, and I will catch you in another episode. Take care.